here now with Ben Casnocha, who was the keynote speaker this morning. Ben, that was such a great talk about building an alliance in the workplace. So my question for you is, how does the manager really start that conversation with an employee?
It's really hard to have a high-quality career conversation with someone on your team because, first of all, it requires being honest about a kind of uncomfortable reality for some, which is that your employee may someday leave your organization, and you have to be able to acknowledge that fact before you can really have a productive conversation. So first things first, you want to be able to lay the groundwork and say, look, you might tell your employee, look, I don't know if I'll be here 40 years from now. I certainly can't expect you to be here 40 years from now. So let's talk about increments in your career. Let's talk about now, and let's talk about sort of 3 to 5 years from now. Where are you looking to go? What might you like to do? And maybe there's an opportunity inside our organization for you to do that, or maybe it's at some other organization. But just that basic assumption or premise is so different than what most employees are used to hearing. It can go a long way to creating a higher trust environment. From there, I think you really want to try to understand what motivates your employee. Try to understand what sort of career progress would be transformative for them. And this can be hard, especially for younger employees or older employees. Some people really don't know what they want to do long term. Someone like myself, I have so many different interests. If you said, where do you want to be 20 years from now? I don't know. It could be any number of things. So don't force specificity necessarily. Ask open-ended questions like, what do you do on Saturday morning when you wake up and have nothing else to do? Or, what would you do if you won the lottery? Or when do you feel like you're at your best at work? And maybe even volunteer a bit from your own personal past and your own career journey. As a manager, as a leader, as the one who has power, volunteer a bit, open up, be vulnerable, talk about yourself. That will model the sort of vulnerability you're looking for from your employee in order to elicit the sort of insights about their career that will help you fully engage them at work.
Exactly. Now, obviously we all want to retain good talent. So is it wrong then as a manager to try to direct that conversation in a way that might keep them with your company, or do you have to be completely open to, letting them go potentially?
Ideally, it's a win-win. Ideally, an employee sticks around and does great work, and it's great for their career and great for the company. In practice, it's not always that way, or at least it's sort of uneven, the value exchange in the short term and the long term. So maybe for a little while it's great for their career, and for a little while it's great for the company. It's not always perfect. But you're working to develop a tour of duty that can be win-win over a 2 to 4 year period of time, the length of an average tour of duty. And sometimes employees will love working at your company. There's great alignment between what they care about, what the company can do, and they'll spend years, decades at your firm, and that's totally awesome. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. I think you want to be honest about the range of possibilities and continue to check in to define a relationship that over time is as mutually beneficial as possible.
Right. Well, fascinating talk this morning. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing this with us today.
Thank you very much.
This is PCMA TV.